You ever notice how some days your house is full of people, full of chatter, full of activity, yet somehow you feel empty? It's like the walls are buzzing with life, but your heart is running on low battery. Maybe you catch yourself daydreaming about a morning where you don't have to explain why you stacked the bowls the wrong way, or a night where you can sip tea in silence without negotiating over what's on TV. That little voice whispering inside, that's not selfishness. That's your soul saying, "Hey friend, it might be time." See, the funny thing about aging in America is that everyone assumes you want more togetherness, more family dinners, more visiting kids, more community. And yes, connection is beautiful. But nobody talks about the quiet exhaustion of being a cruise director in your own home, always managing meals, noise, moods, and calendars. You're not running marathons anymore, but somehow your spirit feels overbooked. I once talked with Harold, a retired firefighter from Chicago, who told me I used to come home after a full shift fighting flames and feel less tired than I do now after a normal day at home. What drained him wasn't the work. It was the constant mental space he gave up to everyone else's routines. When Harold finally got his own one-bedroom place, he laughed and called it the quietest energy drink I ever had. That's the shift people don't expect. Living alone isn't about isolation, it's about subtraction. You subtract the noise, the tension, the low-level stress humming in the background. And what's left? Space, breathing room, energy you didn't know you still had. Many older adults I've interviewed say the same thing. Once they lived alone, they had more energy for hobbies, walks, even social outings. It wasn't that they became hermits, it's that they finally had a clean slate each morning. So if you've been feeling tired for no obvious reason, tired even on days where you did nothing, maybe the problem isn't age. Maybe it's the invisible drain of living a life that never fully belongs to you. Here's another sign it feels like your home turned into a free bed and breakfast. At first it's sweet. Your grown kids drop by for a short visit, or a cousin passing through town asks for a place to crash. Then suddenly weeks turn into months, and you realize your guest room has no vacancy sign because it's always occupied. Hosting takes energy, emotional, physical, even financial. You smile and say, "It's fine. I'm happy to do it." But deep down, your rhythm is gone. I once spoke with Linda, a 70-year-old from Florida, who said, "I love my family, but I don't want to be their Airbnb." After moving into her own apartment, she made a new rule: short visits, intentional time, no surprise, overnight stays. And funny enough, her relationships improved. Living alone doesn't mean shutting people out. It means inviting them in on your terms. You stop being the full-time innkeeper and finally become the owner of your peace. Health isn't just doctor visits, it's the little daily rituals that keep you steady. Maybe you've worked hard to build a sleep routine, but someone else insists on late-night TV. Or you prefer lighter dinners, yet the household craves heavy pasta at 10 p.m. Even the thermostat becomes a battlefield, your comfort traded for compromise. These small disruptions chip away at consistency, and consistency is where health truly lives. I remember chatting with Daniel, 68, who said his blood sugar dropped within 2 months of living alone without changing his diet. What changed? He had full control. He ate when he felt hungry, slept when he was tired, and didn't have to justify skipping dessert. Living solo isn't about perfection, it's about freedom to honor your body's rhythm. When you protect those routines, you're not just guarding today's comfort, you're investing in tomorrow's independence. Somehow, when you share a home, you often end up with an invisible badge household manager. You didn't apply for it yet. Suddenly, you're tracking bills, remembering repair dates, and making grocery lists. It's not a paycheck. It's an endless, unpaid job. If you enjoy it, fine. But for many older adults, it feels like being the captain of a ship that never docks. Margaret, 73, told me she once went 2 straight weeks without a day off from chores. I felt like a cruise captain, she joked, except no one tipped me. Living alone flips the script. Suddenly you only steer your own ship. If you want toast for dinner, nobody questions it. If dishes wait until morning, no one sighs. That freedom doesn't just clear your schedule, it clears your mind. And with that clarity, you realize life feels lighter when you're not carrying a job you never signed up for. Money is one of those quiet stress makers in a shared home. At first, it's just small conversations, splitting the grocery bill, adjusting the thermostat, debating brands of coffee. But slowly, those chats start to feel less like family teamwork and more like boardroom negotiations. I once spoke with Robert, a retired teacher from Texas, who told me he began skipping little joys like buying fresh flowers each week, just to avoid another budget discussion. He said I realized I wasn't living the way I wanted. I was living the way we could agree on, and that's not the same thing. Here's the truth. When you live alone, money stops being a battlefield. You decide what comforts are worth it without raised eyebrows or guilty explanations. Want premium coffee? Done. Feel like turning the heat up to keep your knees warm? Go ahead. No one else gets a vote. Oddly enough, many older adults discover they actually save money living solo. No shared habits to fund no compromises on purchases they never really wanted. Instead of justifying every expense, you make quiet, private decisions that align with your happiness. And let's be honest, at this stage of life, money isn't only about numbers. It's about quality of living, the little freedoms that make each day brighter. Choosing how to spend without debate isn't selfish. It's dignity. It's freedom. Sleep is sacred, especially as you get older. But when you share a home, your rest often depends on everyone else's habits. The TV blaring at midnight, the coffee grinder at dawn, even footsteps in the hallway all become part of your bedtime routine, whether you want them or not. Leo, 76. Once joked I thought I had insomnia. Turns out, I just had roommates. After moving into his own place, he slept better than he had in years. No earplugs, no negotiations, no 2 a.m. calculations about how much rest he might squeeze in. Living alone means your sleep belongs entirely to you. No compromises, no interruptions, just the rest your body needs. And better sleep doesn't just make nights easier. It transforms your days, your health, and even your mood. When you share a space, your identity often shrinks into little pockets, a favorite chair in the corner, a single fridge shelf for your yogurt, or a basket by the recliner holding your knitting. These tiny corners become your sanctuary, but they also reveal something bigger. You're surviving on scraps of space, not living fully. I once met Carol, 71, who called her armchair my island. Around her the house buzzed with noise and clutter, but in that chair with her crossword and peppermint jar, she felt like herself. It worked until she realized she was defending 1 square foot instead of enjoying an entire home. Living alone changes that completely. Suddenly, every room reflects you. Your puzzle can stay spread across the dining table. Your books sit exactly where you left them. You're no longer fighting for corners, you own the whole canvas. And that shift from protecting space to embracing it makes life feel expansive again. Most people think the best part of living alone is the obvious sleeping in, eating what you want, walking around in pajamas. Sure, that's nice, but the real joy sneaks up on you. It's in the tiny logistics, the way your life runs exactly how you design it. I remember chatting with George, 75, from Ohio. He said, "I never thought I'd get excited about where the coffee mugs go, but now it makes me smile every morning." Living with others meant constant negotiations. The milk moved the thermostat, argued over the bathroom counter, cluttered with things that weren't his. Alone, those micro-frictions vanish. And suddenly rearranging the kitchen isn't a chore, it's self-care. Want your couch angled toward the window for sunsets instead of the TV done. Leave a half-finished puzzle on the table for a week. No problem. You're the architect of a micro-empire that actually fits you. And the beauty is, these small wins add up. They give you quiet satisfaction, a sense of flow, and even joy in routines. It's not about being controlling. It's about creating a space that reflects you. Each mug book or blanket sits exactly where you left it, waiting to welcome you back. And that in itself feels like freedom in its purest form. One of the surprising gifts of living alone is how much smaller problems start to feel. In a shared home, the tiniest hiccup can spiral into a group drama. The clogged sink turns into an inquisition about who poured what, or a power outage becomes a 20-minute debate, complete with finger-pointing. But when you live solo, the noise disappears. The sink clogs. You grab the plunger handlet and move on. The light bulb dies. You change it, humming your favorite tune. Even bigger curveballs like a leaking washer or the Wi-Fi going down don't rattle you the same way. You just call the plumber, reset the router, mop the floor, and carry on. I met Susan, 69, from California, who told me I thought I wasn't capable on my own. Then I fixed a leaky faucet by myself, and it felt like I'd climbed Everest. That quiet confidence builds with each little storm you weather alone. Living alone doesn't mean avoiding problems, it means discovering your own steadiness. And once you realize you can handle life's curveballs without flinching, independence stops being a risk and starts being a source of pride. Here's the final sign, and maybe the most surprising. You crave solitude, then feel guilty for wanting it. After decades of raising kids, hosting family, showing up for every gathering, it feels almost wrong to admit you want silence. Culture tells us togetherness is the highest form of happiness, so when you breathe a sigh of relief, the moment guests leave, guilt sneaks in. But solitude isn't rejection, it's restoration. I spoke with James, a 67-year-old veteran, who confessed that after a busy weekend with family, he secretly counted down the hours until his house was quiet again. When the door finally shut, he said, "I felt like I exhaled for the first time in days." That relief wasn't selfish. It was necessary. Over time, something shifts. You stop apologizing for needing space and start cherishing it as essential fuel. Alone time becomes like water or sleep, non-negotiable. And the beautiful paradox. When you take solitude seriously, you return to your relationships lighter, warmer, and far more present. Living alone doesn't mean loving others less. It means loving yourself enough to build a home that restores you. And from that place of peace, you give the world a better version of you. So if any of these signs sounded a little too familiar, maybe it's time to listen to that quiet voice asking for change. Living alone isn't about closing doors, it's about opening one for yourself. And if this message resonated with you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who might need a gentle reminder that solitude can be the most powerful form of self-love.